I have grown to like this movie a lot. I think that the weird thing about it, though, is it's all about AI, and it's really unclear that Ultron. I don't know. Ultron's origin is very weird and complicated. That it's all AI, and his relationship with Jarvis, but it's not Jarvis. Like, it's overly complicated. You never really.
I don't even remember how Tony Stark built him for what.
So when they raided Baron von Strucker's bunker, they found like a computer program essentially that Strucker was developing, kind of an evil AI. And so it took me a while to put this together, by the way. That's the flaw in this movie, is I wanted to watch it 8 times before I'm like, oh, I get it. So they get this AI from Strucker's, I think it's from Loki's staff, actually. They're using that to develop this kind of evil AI. They're trying to develop this program, this peacekeeping initiative to keep the world safe so the Avengers don't have to exist. And that's what Ultron is, just a concept. So they take this AI from Strucker, they call it Ultron, then it goes crazy, kills Tony's AI, Jarvis, most of it, and until he's just like a couple of lines of code or something. And then he builds himself a body, and he's kind of independent, and he has access to the internet. And he gets this idea that if you destroy all of mankind, the Earth will be safe. So that's kind of the plot of that movie. But it was so unclear. I didn't like that James Spader's voice was distracting. Oh, it wasn't altered in any way. I'm like, yeah, it's very clear, and it's kind of disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it should have been more robotic. He's like facing off the Avengers, and I don't know. The first one was so good because it was just kind of what you expected it to be, and it was like delivered well. It didn't like do any twists or anything. This one has like Barton's home life, which is cool. I like that.
And Linda Cardellini.
Yeah, I know.
I love her. She is underused.
Yeah, I totally think she would be a good, like, I don't know.
And she doesn't age.
She has like tiny wrinkles, but that's kind of it. She like does not age at all. So I want to read a good review and a bad review. This one
from IMDb.
This is from IMDb. This is from a user, Lynn Alexander. It's titled "Never Ending Action and Comedy." Action and is one word in this title. Let's first start with how epic this movie is. As soon as the movie starts, we already in the middle of the battle. The movie didn't waste any time getting into full swing. After the battle, we get introduced to the one and only Ultron, voiced by the amazing James Spader, who did an amazing job with a character, making him menacing and intimidating. My favorite hero in this movie had to be Scarlet Witch, whose powers are amazing to watch, especially in 3D. I did not see it in 3D.
I don't remember if I did or not. That's how great 3D is.
Yeah, it's unmemorable. Speaking of Jurassic World, part of me wishes we were able to see the Falcon in the final battle. Why wasn't the Falcon in the final battle? I had a question about, like, when they were taking off the helicarrier, Nick Shield's like, okay, War Machine, okay, let's go. And Falcon's like running away, and they're like kind of closing the elevator door. I can't hear you, the helicarrier. Okay, see ya.
We only need one black guy. Are they setting him up to be the next Captain America? So that's what's in the comics, right?
But I think Bucky takes charge next, and then it's Falcon when Bucky dies.
Oh, okay. It seems like they were setting Falcon up.
Which I'd be fine with. I think Anthony Mackie's doing a good job so far, even though he hasn't really done that
I think
much.
they're testing it. This is my theory with comic book movies. Like, they've sort of run out of ideas.
Yeah.
Not run out of ideas, but they've run out of material that they can sensibly make a movie about with their characters.
Because comic books kind of branch off into weird directions.
And they get fucking super weird.
Yeah.
So I think what they do now is they basically test movie ideas with their comic books.
That makes sense.
Like Age of Ultron, that is not an old story.
Really?
Neither is Civil War. And I think they're putting these stories in comic book form now and seeing which ones sell the best and which ones people like the most on the internet, and then they just turn those into movies. Yeah. So it's like turned into this weird business. Like they're no longer writing they're not writing comic books, they're writing Yeah,
that totally makes sense. And it's like the true comic book nerd that knows what happens in the timeline of the comics. I really like to see that come to life, and they know they're going to change something, but still make nods to the original or whatever. And the novice is going to see it, and it's going to be all brand new. Yeah, this has been tested before. we know you're going to like this thing. I think Ultron would have been a really cool villain, but I just didn't like James Spader. And
the idea is really cool, though. Like, they have to fight a fucking army of robots.
Yeah. It was when they were crawling up from the ground, because I guess, they were lifting the entire city up. Spoiler alert.
What? Oh, I haven't seen it.
When they're climbing up out of the ground, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
They can just pop up anywhere. And he can kind of plug into any one of them remotely, which is also really neat. That, when the Vision finally faces off with one.
It was like Unity and Rick and Morty.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we have an episode where we just do Rick and Morty?
Yes.
I can talk about Rick and Morty for like weeks.
That does not take a single misstep. That show is perfect. Yeah, we can't even get started on that.
Maybe we should have another podcast where we just talk about every Rick and Morty episode.
I would be fine with that, episode by episode, talking about that.
All right, back on topic.
So this is a bad review. And Avengers Age of Ultron, this is called, Boy, Was This Disappointing. Warning, spoilers. I'm just going to read the first part, because usually any bad review, they go on forever. And they make the same point worse and worse. So they just get angry. I think most of us can agree that the first Avengers movie was awesome. So I was expecting Marvel to knock it out of the park again. Right? Wrong. So wrong. Storyline makes it appear as if two conflicting scriptwriters try to piece together their work. Ultron, the robot, comes across as crazy, which I'm not sure was the intention, but not entertaining crazy, more a headshake crazy. We take an entirely random and lengthy detour past Hawkeye's home. Yeah, it just keeps...
Crazy. Not the good crazy, where you're like, oh.
Yeah, not
but the disappointing type of crazy.
The Vision was really cool.
Vision had the best part of the movie for me, with the hammer, where he just lifts it and hands it to him.
I did like that part, but it had been spoiled for me, and so I was so pissed when I heard someone say that. I'm like, that's really cool.
Really? There was like an audible gasp in the theater when I saw it. I saw it by myself because I was very curious.
Yeah.
I feel like it got shat on more than it should have.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people kind of made up their mind before it came out. They're starting to get this superhero fatigue.
Yeah, I totally agree. They want each next movie to be better than anything before, which is kind of impossible.
And if it's the same, they're disappointed. Even Joss Whedon shit all over the movie after it came out. And I didn't understand that. Why would you do that? It's Disney. Do you ever want to work again?
Yeah. They own everything.
Don't blame Disney. You fucked up. They didn't make you do it. Well, they probably said these things have to be in there. But that's your job as a storyteller to make it work.
In Spider-Man 3, I kind of really want to talk about later, because there are some really cool things about that movie. But overall, the movie. But too many characters.
He was like, they made me put things in there that I want to put in, the cave scene or whatever, which was weird, didn't make any sense.
The cave scene. Oh,
where
right.
Thor's in that cave. It was a cave, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, you're making a movie on characters and stories that already exist. You would expect certain things to be in there. Like, I want to make an Avengers movie, but I don't want any superheroes in it. I don't want to put Captain America in there.
That's what I didn't like I like the Scarlet Witch dream sequences, but they kind of did an expository, okay, well, we're going to have this little mini movie inside this movie as well, where it's a tiny little sliver of their origin story.
Is it Elizabeth Olsen?
Yeah.
When I see her, I just think Olsen's sister. I can't get that out of my head because she looks so much like them.
What did you think about Quicksilver?
He was fine. Those accents were completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
That was distracting. He's great in Kick-Ass.
He's a good actor.
He's a good actor, for sure.
I liked him in Godzilla. I'm going to say I liked Godzilla.
You are so wrong on that.
We should talk about that movie.
That movie sucks.
Interesting. I liked it.
We have to talk about that movie. They were both in that, weren't they?
I don't know. I didn't really like it. And a lot of people are like, you probably didn't like Quicksilver because X-Men Days of Future Past ruined it because it was so good.
That scene is perfect.
It is, but it's like, I knew that it was going to be different. I'm fine with, I can associate one character with one movie and a different character with another. It's not impossible for me to fathom.
How does that work? So
an actor can play different.
Go on. one. How does Disney and Sony, how can they both use the same character?
So,
because like with all the shit with Spider-Man, like they had to, how many like thousands of pages of legal documents do you think are involved in them being able to use Spider-Man?
I don't know.
Doesn't sound like there's anything with Quicksilver.
Yeah, apparently they can't use the word mutant. 20th Century Fox owns that specific property. They can use the character though, and I don't know why. But they said that they changed the origin story, not really out of legal constrictions, but because they didn't know if they would get in trouble. They said they were just a genetic anomaly, like the mutants. I think it's this very vague line in the sand. Really don't do this, but there's no definite rules on what you can or can't do.
One thing that they're saying about Civil War that's coming up, that we don't see Spider-Man in the trailers because they don't know how they can market, if they can use him with their marketing materials. Huh. But I think that's all bullshit. I think he's going to be in like 3 seconds of that movie.
Totally.
And it's going to be like spoilers on Star Wars if you haven't seen it yet. It's going to be like Luke Skywalker at the very end, even though his name is on the fucking poster.
Yeah.
Like, you know that J.J. Abrams, people are going to ask him, like, is Luke Skywalker in this? Mm-hmm. And that way they just had a way of saying, like, yeah, he's in it, but you don't know for how much. Yeah. If they didn't put him on the poster, if it was supposed to be a surprise, like, like that shit is coming out. Like, I don't know.
I was rewatching the trailer the other day, and is his voice in the trailer?
Yes.
When he's talking about, like...
He says that in Return of the Jedi to Leia.
So was that in that dream sequence that Rey has? That kind of like trippy when she grabs... I didn't know where that line came from. They were just taking dialogue from...
They took it from Return of the Jedi. But according... I don't know where I read this. I've read this a few places, though. They brought him in to... like re-record those lines of dialogue over him saying that. So that's why it's like whispery and shit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And what's amazing about that is like, we're talking about the wrong movie, but like I wasn't thinking about when he was going to pop up the whole time I was watching it. Like,
it was a good movie.
Yeah.
It was just very well executed.
Anyway, so yeah, I think Spider-Man will be in it for like, I'm guessing like an after credits sequence, because if Spider-Man's going to be in your movie, like he's no way you don't leave him out of the marketing. You figure that shit out
because people want to know, and even if it's just the actor and you don't see Spider-Man in a suit, I would. That's what.
And there's no leaks. There's no leaks,
which is interesting. I don't know. They run a tight ship. I like that. I don't want any spoilers. I like that. Not that gets out. That's one of my favorite things in any superhero movie is when you see the superhero without the mask. When Bruce Wayne is wearing his Batman from the neck down. Doesn't have the cowl on.
See, I don't like that.
Not when he's fighting, but I like Spider-Man. Obviously when he's in a suit, that's how I prefer him, because that is Spider-Man, and Batman with his cowl on is that character. But I like to see that though. It kind of connects the alter ego to me, like on a visual sense. Like if I would see Peter Parker in his like school clothes swinging through buildings and like trying to hide his face or something, I think that would be pretty cool.
I just think it's overdone. Especially with Spider-Man. That dude's always losing his mask. And like any other movie where you're rooting on for the main character, you see yourself in that character. So once they take their mask off, you're like, oh, that
I don't look like that.
He's so much more handsome than I am, and he can do all this shit. I'm not in that suit anymore.
They almost never have like hat hair when they like take off
it's
their
perfect.
cowl.
Like Andrew Garfield's huge fucking pompadour thing he's got going on.
Let's jump in real quick back to Avengers: Age of Ultron, and we're gonna pick a name out of our names, and I have to recast.
He has to recast the movie.
Rob Riggle. I got Rob Riggle. So who in Avengers: Age of Ultron would Rob Riggle be? Okay, I can't pick a new character. I guess we don't really have rules for this, but should he be a new character, or it has to be like an existing one? I guess. Because he'd be a great, like, S.H.I.E.L.D. agent that dies again.
Be perfect.
Somehow Loki's scepter falls in him. He gets killed again.
No, I think you have to pick somebody who's already in the movie.
Totally Captain America. Rob Riggle would be this, like, super hardcore Marine.
I think he used to be a Marine.
Yeah, but, like, he's just playing that character. Like, super aggressive, really gung-ho about everything. I think that I would like to see that. Either that or Ultron. I wish I would have picked a different name because I wanted to recast Ultron's voice.
If I can play, I think I'm going to do the same one.
Rob Riggle.
But Bruce Banner just turns into a green painted Rob Riggle.
Like the Lou Ferrigno. He's like ripping his shirt in the rain and it's just like already pre-shredded.
Yeah. And he's fighting Iron Man, same sequence.
But I think
it's Rob Riggle.
But is it Rob Riggle size or is the Hulk size? Who just looks like Rob Riggle. Yeah, I think that's a perfect thing. You know how they did Vision is they put Paul Bettany in makeup and then they CGI'd everything over him again.
That that whole thing looked great.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best CG I've seen in a while. Because it looked real.
Yeah, and apparently it's all CG. He's 100% a CGI character.
Huh.
And they like face mapped him and they just like smoothed everything out. All of those little etchings into his face weren't really there. Some, but
that's a great scene too when he's deciding what he wants his costume to be. And you like, it's very subtle. You see him like look at Thor's cape, and then like he suddenly like has a cape.
Thor, he like changed his costume. Makes sense. What if he would have seen Captain America and he just changed himself into a big nerd? Like, does not really look like Steve Rogers, but he gets glasses and he's just really mean to Captain America for no reason.
He has the Black Widow outfit on.
His gross boobs.
This is who I am.
But it's still Paul Bettany.
Yeah.
And then he stares down Black Widow and they grow a little bit more.
He's the voice of Jarvis, right? He was from the beginning.
So that's another thing is Joss Whedon said that James Spader was his first and only choice for Ultron, which
you must love Blacklist or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's some old person thing to like be nuts for Blacklist. I'm sure it's great, but like it's catnip for old people.
I will never watch a second of that show. I can't do it.
It's just I don't get the James Spader thing. And
what was that other show? That lawyer show he was in?
Awesome Legal.
Yeah,
it was him and William Shatner.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and I never saw it, but I heard that was pretty good.
Did he age like 30 years in 10 years?
Yeah, I even think it was shorter. He was in this sci-fi movie, and he was like shredded.
Uh-huh.
And then I swear it was like maybe 5 years later, and he just looks so much older.
Yeah, like Boston Legal, he looks not young, but not as old as he does now.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like
he discovered bread. Maybe he just like had never had bread before, and then he ate it, and then the gluten destroyed his face and body.
Or he went into one of that James Franco JFK.
Yeah.
Have you watched that show?
It's great.
Yeah, I watched the first episode.
The Ultron thing was so confusing. The two that they're competing AIs, which made sense later when the Vision's fighting Ultron. But like, I don't know. It's like they made it overly complicated because like people aren't going to get this. So we're going to have these visual orbs that are going to represent each AI. Then people are going to get it. What was confusing is when Ultron, when like some evil AI existed before, and then they just named it Ultron. Like in the comics, it's Hank Pym who creates Ultron.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so they're like, well, it was before Ant-Man, so we can't do that yet.
Did they mention Hank Pym prior to Ant-Man?
I don't.
Which I really liked, by the way.
Yeah, that was a really good movie.
Surprised by that one.
Definitely. The same thing as Jurassic World. I didn't expect it to be good. It wasn't good. I didn't expect Ant-Man to be good, and it was. It was probably even better because my expectations were so low. I would like if they would introduce Michael Douglas in earlier. Casting, all that stuff. I really liked Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Doesn't Howard Stark and Hank Pym share like a close...
They're like rivals or something.
Yeah, which is cool. That's even better. And it makes more sense that like some other scientist would have dropped it, and Tony Stark finally brings it to fruition. It's just so confusing. All of a sudden when he manifests and he's that kind of broken Legionnaire robot, like, okay, this is going to be pretty cool. James Spader's voice fit there because it was a little messed up and sharp and mechanical. And later on, it's just, I don't know, kind of dissolves in the background. And he's this. And no offense against the people that made the CGI of that stuff. Some of that is really good. Some of it is just kind of like...
Why do you think they're not calling Civil War or Captain America Civil War Avengers 3?
I don't know.
Because they are all in it. Yeah. Except the Hulk. Does the Hulk have to be in the movie for them to call it Avengers or something?
Apparently he is in it. Anthony Mackie.
Spoilers!
I just heard that Anthony Mackie said it's been a pleasure working with Mark Ruffalo. And then I think it was the person reporting on it, like, I think the Hulk's going to be in it now. Like, I think we were just told that. And apparently Ant-Man's going to be a bigger Ant-Man. You know, he can be a normal person that shrinks.
Or enormous?
Yeah.
Is he going to fight Hulk or something?
That would be amazing.
Like, what advantage would he need to be big?
I know in the comics that's what he did. Is he was a normal person, just became big.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool to see a Hulk and Ant-Man fight where he's shrinking down.
His